We're live.
Yay.
Yay, we did it. Okay, so I wanted to do this live video today because I got a message from Source
Source.
today, and I wanted to get your thoughts as a what would you consider yourself? A non-believer?
No, I'm not a non-believer. I definitely want to believe. I like to have proof in what I'm trying to believe, but you know,
Mhm.
I do believe there's something. I mean, I believe I have a soul, so obviously I believe in something.
Okay, so do you consider yourself to be asleep or awake?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that if there is the possibility that we're all asleep, is there a way to really wake up from it?
Okay.
I mean, if we're really truly like in the Matrix or whatever, I mean, there would have to be some sort of event to wake us all up. I mean, it wouldn't be like one or two people would be truly awake. We'd all be still asleep. You think you're awake or whatever, but you're
Uh-huh.
not. You're
Okay.
asleep.
Well, are you ready to hear the message? Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. I just wanted to say hi. This was super like spur of the moment. I channeled a message from Source this morning and I didn't know what to do with it. And they told me to share it. And so here we are. But I needed Pat's opinion on it. So,
Yeah.
because I can't hear what you guys are
I mean,
saying.
not
So,
that my opinion matters, but
well, I don't know if it sounds crazy or not crazy, but this is what I got.
and this is the first
So,
time I'm hearing about it too. So this
so
is new to me.
it was a 3-page message, and what I'm going to do is give it in like I'll tell a paragraph, and then we'll kind of weigh in on it and see what everybody thinks. So the message started off like this. Okay, here we go. Oh, dear ones, we are so proud of the work you have been doing. We are guiding and assisting you on your journey towards ascension. Please know that it is time to hold the light within and intensify your efforts. So, I mean, right there, they said the word ascension. And when they said to hold the light within and intensify your efforts, I'm not sure, but the feeling that I got was that they want us to remain positive and stay in like a loving vibration. What do you think?
Uh, well, like I honestly think that there's certain people that are adapt, and I don't know if they're picked or if they're just born for this mission, but that are here to help others do this ascension thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you're one of those guiders, a guiding counselor
I don't.
that we all go to get these downloads that you're getting, and maybe it's your job to help facilitate that.
I don't know about that, but
Well, I mean,
what
like
do you
I
think
don't.
about
I mean,
ascension? Do you?
why would you get that message? I don't know.
I don't know, but do you think ascension is a thing? What do you think ascension is?
Yeah, well, how do you define distinction? How do you define it? I define it like here's how I define it. I define it as moving up, going to another level, going to a whole
Right,
nother level
right.
of spirit
Spirituality
awareness, spiritual awareness.
and consciousness. Like I
Right.
would describe it
So
as
that's a
like
big leap.
another level of consciousness. Okay, so the message continues. Many changes are happening at this time. This is an exciting time to be upon your planet, and many have come to witness the joyous occasion. So that's kind of cool. That makes it sound like it's like a galactic thing that there's other beings or whatever here to watch the ascension process. Like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so the changes you will see taking place very soon involve your government and leadership. We must remove outdated power and control structures in order to move forward towards a more balanced society. So that was kind of heavy right there
Yeah. Yeah.
because they were talking about removing our government and, and the leaders. So
Like what, a revolution?
yeah, I don't know. I got the feeling that something big is about to happen. And that was the reason why they were sharing this message with me.
That there could be something that's going to happen.
Yeah, that there's
Well,
something
there's
big gonna
definitely a
happen.
lot of weird events happening in the world right now. So yeah.
And obviously something pretty big politically.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. What do you think it could be?
I think that maybe we're going to be told that we've all been lied to this whole time, and that
Like,
that alone could cause the overthrow of a government. That alone could cause a revolution, because so many people will be pissed when they find out that they've been lied to for the last 100 or 200 years,
mm-hmm.
that that could start a revolution right there. And we have been. I mean, like, so
So you feel like it's going to be truth coming out?
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be something that's very like socially unjust, that's going to make people just become outraged and say, we're not going to take this anymore. Like
Something big.
like a human rights kind of a deal. I don't know. I kind of felt like this whole issue with the border thing was the first thing that came to mind, but really I don't know because they didn't.
That could be a strong possibility.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Yeah.
Something like that would definitely
But
do
it definitely felt like it's on a global.
100%. That would something like that would do it.
It definitely felt like it was on a global scale. But there's a positive note to this because they did say, okay, so they want us to focus our intention on the collective energy and how it feels at the moment. We must transmute the negative energy into the light. There's like 3 pages here.
For both, Alyssa Fisher.
Okay, listen. So then they said, that which you perceive to be the darkness is merely an illusion, and as such has given you the gift of duality and performs a service to your sense of balance and desire to overcome lesser energies. So what they were saying is that they use these things that we perceive to be as negative as something to show us, a way to change.
Wow.
That's what I got out of that. What do you think?
That's that's kind of what I got out of it too.
Yeah.
It's interesting that there will be something that overpowers another power. That's what it would take, is something like that.
Well, first of all, they said that which we perceive to be darkness is merely an illusion. So, there really is no dark or light, is what I took from that.
Interesting.
Yeah. They just said it was, we have the gift of duality to, and the gift of duality performs a service.
So what you were saying was that there's no good and no evil? Is that there's light, there's no light, there's no dark?
It's just our perception of what's good and what's evil, what's dark and what's light.
Yeah. I mean, would we know the difference anyways?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So everything has its purpose and has been designed as such. Yes, everything has been flawlessly constructed for you in order to experience growth and a desire for change. So to me, everything that happens, they're saying everything that happens was like perfectly orchestrated in order for us to, like, let's say we were cavemen and we were just like beating around with, sticks and whatever. We wouldn't aspire to want something better for ourselves. If we didn't know poverty, we wouldn't aspire, for wealth. If we didn't know sickness, we wouldn't aspire for health. So in that way, they're saying that all of these things that we perceive to be dark or negative are there to serve us so that we can.
That's so interesting.
Aspire for more.
Wow, that's interesting.
Which makes sense when you combine.
We have to work for it. We have to work.
Well, we have to want it.
We have to want it, but you have to work for it too.
But sometimes you don't know what you want until you experience what you don't want.
Right, that happens to me all the time.
I know, right?
I want something, I get it, and then I realize that's not really what I wanted at all. What the hell do I want?
So I don't know. I can see you guys in the chat room. What do you guys think about?
Let me read this
about this message so far? Hi, Deborah. Hi, Mary. Hi, Johan. I loved you on the Milky Way show last night. I thought you were
super good, Joe.
So, anyways, yeah. What do you guys think so far?
I don't think there's enough yet to go by. I think we should go more.
You think I need to go further into
yeah,
the
let's
message?
go further. Okay. So that's pretty good so far. It's interesting.
Okay. Well, it was interesting that Mary or that Deborah Tucker said, I feel that there has been a shift in power on Earth. And what they said was many can feel the pull towards a more peaceful society now more than ever. And your numbers are growing. When the many outweigh the few, it will be the catalyst needed to shift into a higher reality. So, what they are saying is that and they kind of like downloaded this into my head. We've been living in a state of unbalance as a collective where a lot of people see power and not so much material things, but the value system is messed up. So, everybody is kind of out for them, has been out for themselves, seeking power and things like that,
Yeah.
and wealth and whatever.
Right.
And so what they were saying is when the balance of the collective starts to shift to, when more people are coming from a place of compassion, more people are coming, wanting.
Well, I mean, like, I honestly don't see why we can't all build homes for everybody, why we can't make affordable homes for everybody.
Right.
I don't
And
know why we can't have affordable food for everybody. I'm talking world. I'm not talking just America. I'm talking the whole world.
Right.
There's no reason why we can't all get a bunch of military ships, pack it full of shit, send it to Africa, and build a bunch of homes for everybody. There's no reason why we can't do that.
Right.
We just don't.
Yeah.
We don't choose to.
Well, because the people that are in power, they say, oh, well, the money, or
it costs too much. It does all. But you know what? When everybody has a home and everybody has medical and everybody has the things they need,
right?
Nothing else will matter after that. We won't care about this. Now, you know what we should be caring about? We should be caring about how we are going to educate ourselves better, how we're going to educate the next generation better. Because I got to tell you, our education is hilariously out of control. I mean, there is no education, really. Right. And there is no education. Education?
What about things? Yeah, but what about things like compassion? When humanity strives towards things like compassion and peace, that's when the scales are going to tip.
Correct.
That's a more evolved consciousness.
Right.
When we get out of that thinking of
when nobody's in poverty anymore, when nobody's hungry.
When we get out of that thinking of this is mine and that's yours, and I don't have enough, and I want to take from you or whatever. I can't share mine with you because I don't have enough. That's
right. When that is gone, when all that is absolved,
so
you'll be able to focus more on the more important issues, and instead of all this ridiculousness, we focus on now.
Right. And I think that's part of the reason why, like the people in control like to keep us dumbed down, and running on the.
You want to keep your herd stupid.
Running on the hamster wheel, chasing after a carrot that they know we're never going to get to,
right?
Or whatever.
Just get a little nibble off of it is all you get.
Right. Okay, so I thought that was really interesting. And then they said that Gaia is assisting in the process, as she too would like to return to a higher state of being. So the fact that they said return to a higher state of being tells me that she was once at a higher state of being. What do you think about that?
Probably, yeah. She was probably a lot better off when there were a lot less of us on the planet.
Right.
She was a lot better off, I'll tell you that much. And that's why we're seeing all these global
activities
and
yeah,
global
earth changes.
Earth change. There's too many of us. There's just too many of us. The Earth wasn't meant to have 3 billion people on it. I don't know. There's some huge number, but I'm sorry I don't know the number. I used to know it, but I'm just saying that we need to practice a little bit of self-control in this society, and we need to practice, if we truly want everything for everybody. And I'm not talking like a dictatorship, and I'm not talking like a
one world government.
I'm not talking like any of that. That's just going back to where we're trying to get away from. That's just going back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about where we honestly have everything for everybody, and nobody has to worry about that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Food, housing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, that's
the basics that you need for survival.
When you have the basic survival dialed in, and everybody has that everybody's guaranteed that. Let's just say. All of a sudden, education will go up. People will get smarter. People will be able to go to school for the right reasons for what they want to go to school for.
Well, Deborah Tucker was just saying that she doesn't think the population matters. It's how we treat the planet. And I kind of agree with that, because I feel like, the Earth can sustain the amount of people that we have. It's just the way that we choose to live, that we pollute things, and we live in like a throwaway society where you buy things and you just, consume. Hey, Brian. So anyways, so yeah, I agree with you, Deborah Tucker. All right. So moving on, the message continues.
Yeah.
Sometimes pain and fear are necessary for change to shake you out of what feels comfortable and ignite your desire for more. Many have been asleep for quite some time, and we see these conflicts as necessary to wake them up at this time. So, this is what led me to believe that there was some kind of event or, well, they said conflict. So, they said that in order to wake people up, that sometimes we need to have conflicts.
We do.
Yeah, because it goes back to that whole,
Well, something's needed, an event is needed to get people fired up enough to want to do a change.
yeah,
to
just
make a
kind of
change.
like, you remember in the 60s when,
People would protest and
yeah,
would,
when the Vietnam War sparked the whole like love movement.
yeah,
It's
sure
kind
did.
of that kind of came to mind after I got this message, and it kind of makes sense that when people are outraged at the things that the people in control are doing, you know,
It gets to a point where people will say, yeah, when 10,000 people a week are dying, when 10,000 Americans in the army are dying or during Vietnam are dying every week, and you're seeing those numbers grow, not get smaller. Yeah, people start to do something a little bit about that when their sons are being killed, and that's what it takes. So I guess that's what it takes. It takes mass death before anybody wants to.
Well, anyways. So then they go on to say, do not fear where you are going, but allow yourself to stay focused on the present moment. This is the purpose of time. I thought this was really interesting because they kind of explain the concept of time to me. This is the purpose of time, to lend perspective on what you are feeling and experiencing, and is a way of measuring your progress. So,
interesting.
yeah, without the concept of time, how would we know where we've come,
well,
or where we've been?
I think it's a good idea with time to set okay, if you're going to want to change something and you got a certain amount of time to do it, set a goal, stick to your goals and accomplish it, and then reward yourself after you've accomplished the goal. And that's a good measurement of time, because it took me 14 days to do this. I got the 10,000.
The message that I got was that and they had basically conveyed the message that this is an experiment that we're living in, and the construct of time was part of this experiment. It doesn't exist outside of this reality. And Deborah Tucker says, we all work harder when we're pissed. LOL. Yeah, we kind of do, huh? It depends on what we're working for, but yeah.
I wouldn't want to be pissed all the time, though. That's what it takes at my work, but I'm not pissed all the time, though.
Okay. So they said, oh yeah, and then they continue, time does not exist outside of your perception, as all things are happening at once. To change the present affects the past as well as what you would call the future. This is what creates what you would call timelines and parallel realities. So I thought that was really interesting, because what they were saying was that the things that we think are what's creating our universe.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like, I think, honestly, I think that we all have no concept of what time really is. We have not a clue as to what really time is all about. We think we do because we watch the dial on the clock and we call that time. We have no concept.
Right.
Our lifespans are too short of a lifespan to accurately measure the kind of time.
Well, so we think so in this construct. We think our life is a short amount of time, but what they're saying here is that we create with our mind. So we create with the power of our thought. Okay.
Yeah,
and the power of our thought, depending on what we think, affects the past, the present, and the future.
Right.
Yeah. And this is how, and this kind of, I was talking to Patrick Garrett about this earlier. We were discussing this, and he was saying that really kind of struck him as explaining the Mandela effect, why things have changed in the past.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we think.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and this was the thing with the message. They give me the message and they don't really explain everything. They're just like, here's the message. And I'm like, what do I do with this message? And they're like,
Well,
share it.
what did you make out of it? What did you think when you got this download? What do you do when this
Well,
happens?
the overall feeling for me was that it was a positive thing. It was basically saying, like, look, stuff's about to go down. Okay.
Yeah.
But stay positive, stay in a positive frame of mind. Keep your focus on the present and what you're doing and what you're feeling in the moment, and like not to give in to fear and
Right.
anger or hatred or other lower vibrations, to stay compassionate, peaceful, loving,
Hmm.
etc. um
So now is the time to be more positive note, try to help, let that person take the cut in line and let people get
yeah,
over,
yeah,
try to say thank you to people, try to say
yeah,
please, and try to work, even if you got to fake it till you make it, try to be more positive towards people. If you want to be negative, by all means, continue being your negative self and continue letting the world be the way it is. I don't really care one way or the other. I can survive both, to be honest with you, at this point.
really,
Oh, I can survive both for sure.
yeah,
So at this point, but I mean, I would like to, for my heart. My heart says I'd like to see a world like,
yeah.
and I want to, and I love your downloads because your downloads give me an insight to what my heart wants.
Oh, that's
So
so sweet.
that's yeah.
Okay, so they said, sorry, I'm laughing, but I really do take this seriously because
She does,
because
and I love it. I
I
mean,
was just going about my business, drinking my coffee, minding my own business, trying to watch YouTube, and they told me turn off the TV and grab a pen and paper. So I just obliged them. I was like, okay, I have no idea what they're going to tell me, and they said this message was coming directly from source. So I'm just going to take them at their word. And it felt like it. There was like an energy about it, and
mhm.
okay, so they said, let me just like back up a little bit here. This is what you create when you create what you would call timelines and parallel realities. Everything exists simultaneously in continuous flow. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like, and that kind of explains like the multiverse, weren't we? I was talking to my daughter and she was trying to explain the multiverse to us. And I think that's what she was talking about, was parallel realities, but when everything is existing all at once in a continuous flow.
Well, that's a hypothesis. That's a hypothesis some people postulate, is that there's multi universes. Some scientists believe that.
Well,
And I don't know if you're getting, maybe that's where
if
you're
I'm
getting, that's where maybe you're getting messages from.
yeah,
is from
I don't read up on that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And what I find
it's a postulated theory. I mean, there's a theory that they have out there.
right.
That's
Well,
one
where
of-
to how did it get into my brain? Because well, this is what I find weird about these messages from source, or just these channeled messages, is I don't use this kind of language when I talk.
I know you don't.
I don't-
Why this is how I know she gets channeled messages, because when she writes this down, I'm all like, I read it one day and I'm all like, who wrote this? Who's writing these? And it's like I've known Jennifer all my life since we were 9 years old. So I know how she talks and I'm reading this thing. I'm all like, and I can't tell who's writing it, because so it's like almost like a different person is living in the house, because when you get these messages, I read these things and I honestly can't tell it's coming from you at all.
I know, right?
You yourself, but it is coming from you.
The message is much more intelligent than I am, believe me. So Brian is
You're
saying,
smart.
listen, honey, Brian is saying, will you and Pat join me next Friday or Saturday to discuss the message? I would love to. That would be great. How about you?
I don't know. I mean, I have to check my calendar, Brian, but I will get back to you on that, and we'll discuss that in another day. I have to check my calendar. I'm super busy, you guys, at Christmas time. So
Yeah, he works retail, and it's very, very, very busy.
And I'm really into my selling my shit, so I like to sell it.
But the interesting thing is that this message kind of come on the heels. We just went through that big purging thing, right? So a lot of people are getting rid of their negative emotions and kind of facing the stuff that the baggage that they've been carrying around and stuff that kind of keeps them stuck in those lower energies. And I know I went through that. And then I get this message. And in the last couple of days, I've finally been at a place where I'm like, I get it. Like everything has come full circle for me. I feel like,
well, yeah, because you're getting these fantastic downloads that shows a better world.
I feel like they do help me, because I don't think I'm smart enough to figure this out all on my own, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just found it interesting that this kind of came on the heels of that whole process. And what a perfect time of year. I mean, it's Christmas. Everybody's usually happier and more loving this time of year anyways. So to hold the light. But I think, like, I really got the impression that they were trying to tell me that something kind of major event is coming, and not to fear, not to to hold your light and intensify the light that you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So I kind of appreciate everybody's helping me figure out what this message actually means.
Hmm. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on YouTube too. I think there's a lot of
So
good positive messages going on YouTube, and I like it. I think it's a good forum coming from all different channels.
So, a new America, all new again says the time anomaly that I experienced was something that can't easily be explained. So, I'm not really sure what he experienced, but yeah, I'm curious for sure.
Well, it sounds like he did. You really did experience something with time then, because that's exactly what true
No,
time is.
that was this guy right here,
Uh,
a new America.
yeah,
Well, you have to have your glasses on.
yeah. I can't see. Hold on. Let me put my glasses.
Okay, so everything exists simultaneously in continuous
You're
flow.
right. It isn't easy
And
to
they
explain.
said, okay, every thought you hold now has the power to change and create the universe. That was pretty heavy for me because, I've been kind of getting these little snippets and messages. Um,
Do you ever have any like malicious thoughts or negative thoughts when you get messages? Never.
no, never. And if I did, I would know that wasn't from source because
Right.
source never says negative things ever.
Yeah.
Never.
Okay. Okay.
So,
That's interesting.
so basically, they're saying that every thought that, we are creating the universe with our thoughts. And it might just be your own private universe. You know, we're all living in
Yeah.
our own
Yeah.
like little bubble, interacting with each other's little bubbles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or are we creating this whole big,
I
thing
think it's a little bit of
together?
input. It's a little bit of input on everybody's part. Everybody puts a little input in there, which the osmosis of that bubbles off into other people's lives, and that bubbles off into other people's lives. Like, it's like the little drop of water going out into this, dropping into the well where it just goes out and ripples out into the world. And so if you put a bunch of positive stuff out in the world, it will eventually ripple
Mhm.
out. Just like when you put negative stuff, it ripples out and affects other people, which affects other people, which affects that 10 other people, and on and
Mhm.
on and on.
Yeah.
So of course, yeah, I believe in that. Yes,
Right.
what you put out does affect the entire universe.
Well, and thought is energy. Okay, we are energy beings.
Mhm.
So how else would we create but with our thought? And
Right.
what I found really interesting, Stephen Hawking said that the universe was a thought created universe. He's the one that said that the universe was formed from nothing. So there can't be nothing. If there's nothing physical, then what is there? Thought, you know?
Right. Well, yeah.
So I
Well,
thought that was
Steve Hawking
so
said that?
yeah, Brian says that's why they constantly try and program us to project their reality. I totally agree with that
Right. Well, yeah.
because I feel like we do manifest with our thoughts, and when they program us with these TV shows and
Oh,
different,
from day one, you're
negative
programmed.
influences, when we talk about
From day one, from the day you're born, your programming starts in the
well, if let's say they make a movie,
incubator.
let's say they make a movie and all these people watch the movie and they're like kind of hypnotized when they're watching the movie and their thought is focused on this movie and then the next thing you know something comes into reality. I can't think of a good example right now, but ends up coming to pass. Like let's say for instance AI, like there's this AI stuff everywhere and people are so focused on this AI and then the next thing you know we're living in the Terminator, right?
Right. Yeah. I saw that movie, I, Robot. Try watching that one.
I know, right? But I think that what they do is they know this and they use the power of our thoughts to manifest the reality of their choosing, not our own.
It's interesting.
So Deborah Tucker says, "Hey Jen, last Thursday morning I had a dream that I was in the woods around a fire and they had a witch's pot on the fire and I was casting spells into the pot, creating my future." Wow, that's
we have a
awesome.
painting in our house like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then A New America says, "We've been experiencing this same bubble over and over again. I watched
Time repeats itself.
my son turn from flesh to bone over again 1,000 times
Wow.
in a matter of 1 minute." Hey, Pink Angel. So, yeah, I mean, it is possible that we are living like, what was the Groundhog Day? where he has to keep reliving the same moment or the same day over and over and over again until he gets it right. I feel like that's where we are now. And I feel like this, and I'm getting goosebumps as I say this, is that source was telling me we're there. Like we're getting it right this time.
Wow. So we're moving to the
Yeah.
next step.
Yeah. So that's
No
exciting.
matter how small a step, just to move up a step is better than nothing, So if we can move a little tiny bit, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. And then the way they ended it was they said, okay, so they said, every thought you hold now has the power to change and create the universe. So there's that ripple effect. Like the thoughts that we have are not just affecting us, they obviously are affecting the collective consciousness and everything that we
Oh, without a
see
doubt.
and don't see
Yeah.
and come into contact with. And they ended it in you in verse. So the word the word you and then in verse.
Universe.
So universe, you in verse. So I was trying to figure out what that means. And then they said end. They didn't say bye, I love you. They just said end.
Wow.
So you in verse. And I'm looking at it and I'm like trying to go backwards and forwards. And I'm like, you in verse. So, I mean, you could say, I know they say words are power and we can create the power we can create with our words, but words first start in the mind.
Right.
So we're in the verse.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
It
And I was
starts.
hoping to talk to Rainbow Phoenix because she knows a lot of that Bible stuff. I don't that I
I know a
don't.
little bit of it. I studied it.
Well, okay, you studied the Bible. You in verse. What's a verse?
Well, a verse in the
It's
Bible
like
is
a
in the Bible. A verse is like
it's like a
it's
passage,
like
right?
it's like a yeah. You dial up the address and you to what you want to find, and then you find the verse, and it's like an address.
So
Finding an
Deborah Tucker
address.
says, "Yay, moving forward."
Yeah, a little bit.
So
I feel
yeah.
like we made this. We are finally.
So if a verse is a passage, and we're in passage,
Yeah, we're in sync. It's like we're in sync with time.
so a new America says, when I go into the spirit world, time seems to stop or not exist at all. Yes, that's my understanding from what they've told me, is that time only exists in this construct, that time does not exist outside of this construct. And when I asked them to,
I don't think it's humanly possible to understand the concept of
yeah,
time.
they told
It's
me
not humanly
they
possible.
told me that it's out of my perception.
We can't fathom it, you guys. There's no way.
Right,
There's just no
right.
way. I mean, not even the greatest scientists in the world can fathom time. So none of us are going to be able to do it because I'm not a scientist, and neither is she.
Yeah, and
But
so Brian says because time is a human 3D construct, right? So it really only exists in this reality. It doesn't exist outside of this reality. So so yeah, that was the whole message. And if anybody has any thoughts on the you in verse, I would love to hear it because when they said that to me, it seemed very important, and they really focused a lot of um, energy into that message. So
it's a loving message. It was a really positive, I think, a good message.
yeah, no, it felt very positive, and they weren't telling me, they were just kind of explaining how we use contrast and duality in this, experiment, as I like to call it,
Mhm.
to figure out what it is we do want.
We want a better world.
Which is, yeah,
We
we
want
want
a
a better
stronger
world.
world.
But
We
so
want a
when
world that's awake and alive and vivacious.
right, and
You
when
know?
enough people want the same thing, when
Yeah.
enough people want the better world and the
Yeah.
better life.
I mean, I
Yeah.
honestly think I work in a place where I see hundreds of people every day. Everybody seems to be like in a state of like half asleep, half awake kind of state.
So Pink Angel says verse definition: writing arranged with a metrical rhythm, typically having a rhyme. So if we're in
That's
you in
yeah,
verse,
mhm.
you in rhythm.
A rhythm. Yeah, a
Yeah, you.
heartbeat. Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Hmm.
I kind of like
Thank
that.
you. Yes, that's
Thanks,
a
Pink.
verse. Mhm.
Um, I lost my train of thought. I was good. Oh, so there was one thing that kind of has come to me recently, and I'm telling you, like I really am not. I'm not. I'm not that smart. So I know my guides or source or whoever has been helping me along this path. But recently, they were telling me through all this purging stuff, I thought, okay, I'm there now. I've gotten rid of all the, darkness or whatever. And they were telling me you have to let go of attachments. And so this kind of maybe ties in with, I don't know if you would call it the law of attraction because I don't like labels, but whatever. So they were telling me it's time to let go of attachments. So um I was doing like a little experiment with something because I was like, okay, I was understanding what they were teaching me was that you can want something, like they want us to want something. They want us to strive, let's say, for a better life, or they want us to want this, like ascension.
Hmm.
But you don't want to attach to the outcome, okay? Because you don't need it. You have to come from a place where you don't need it. You want it, but you're okay without it. And that's how, and this was just on like a personal note for me. I'm just sharing it with you guys because maybe somebody will get it and be like, yeah, Jen, that's right. So,
The
um,
chat room's really interesting tonight. It's funny.
yeah. So anyway, so I thought that was really interesting when they told me that I had to let go of attachments for things. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to practice it with some stuff. And I was like, I'm going to want this, but I'm okay whether I get it or I don't. And boom, within like a couple seconds, it was like bam right there. And I'm like, no
No,
way. I
honey,
swear.
I've known you all my life. When you want something, you get
Right, I know.
it.
But this is the thing that they've been trying to teach me is that when you want something, you don't have to go and get it.
It
As
comes to
we
you.
you need to allow it to come to you. So all you have to do is want it,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Believe that you can have it, but
Mhm.
know that you're okay without it.
Well, that's kind of how the Christians think. That's how the Christians believe.
So it's kind of the same thing as prayer, right? Like when
Yeah.
you pray, you
Yeah.
you
You could,
pray.
if you truly have faith in God, let's say, if you're a Christian and you truly have faith in God, you shouldn't be worrying about anything because your faith is strong enough that everything will be, uh, accounted for. Everything will come to you. And really, if your faith is strong enough, you will walk around with not a worry in the world because you already know God's got your back.
Right,
And
right.
that's what true faith
But I
is.
think a lot of what the programming and the different things that go on, in society is that they're programming people to come from that place of lack and need. Like there's so many, and especially like they put these commercials on TV where they're like, look at these families in need. Who's going to help these families in need? And
Every
they
hour.
show, and I get it. There are people that do need things to survive. Like
Definitely.
I'm not saying that they don't, but I feel like just the language that they use is part of the programming where they want us to see each other as being separate, and one having
Divided.
divided, one having more than the other. And
You have so much. Therefore you should definitely give more because you have more.
right, but also I believe that
But
everybody's
what kind of thinking
experiencing.
is that? I mean, I give as what I can't give a lot, but I try to give a little bit. I donate money. I donate my time. I've
Mhm.
donated a lot of time to volunteering.
Yeah,
A whole year's worth of volunteering work.
yeah, I
I've
remember. Yeah.
I've worked for the church. I went to the church. I've done a lot of volunteering and giving. I think that's what everybody should do, and I think it makes you a stronger, more intelligent, more well-rounded person when you do all
Hmm.
these things, and you get to see what you're really made of. When you can truly give to these people that truly need, and you
Hmm.
don't might not even have a lot to give. In my case, people were giving me this stuff, and I was able to take the stuff they gave me and give it to the people that needed it. And that
Right,
was how I did it. I was a middleman,
right,
and
right.
that was a very rewarding, great experience.
Yeah.
If everybody had the chance to do that, this world would be a lot better because you get to see. And it's like it makes you a better person. It's all about trying to make yourself better than what you are.
Hmm.
You try to become something better than what you are. Even if you're the most fantastic, beautiful, God gifted person in the world, try to still achieve to be better than that. Try to do something more.
Hmm.
Never stop. Don't ever stop.
Pink Angel says, just giving love to the universe and humanity is enough, more than enough. So, yeah, I think I agree. Love is, spreading love and giving love, but with an open heart, because I think in our reality, people, then this is from my experience when I started going through my awakening and spirit started talking to me. I had some energetic experiences where I felt overwhelming love, and I could feel it just go through my body. My heart chakra open up. And what they told me was that in our 3D reality, because we're in a duality system, that fear and love go together here. But outside of this reality, in the higher
Hmm.
realities, there's love without fear.
Right.
Because here and think
I
about it, I
understand
mean,
that.
it kind of makes sense that when you love something, maybe you don't realize that you're afraid to lose it, but
Right.
there's always that backside of the shadow part that you don't see, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why people grieve,
Yeah.
because they've lost something that they love.
Right.
But
It hurts.
what they don't realize is that love never dies, energy never dies,
Yeah.
but I get it. I mean, I'm not trying to be
Well,
insensitive to
there's
people
people.
who
Well,
are
there's people
grieving.
I've lost. I do. I miss their presence. I miss their
Uh-huh.
counseling. I miss their camaraderie. Of course,
Hmm.
you're gonna miss those things,
Yeah.
especially But I mean, like we all grieve in our own way. I
Right.
think, and
And a lot of people don't even love from their heart center. A lot of people are loving from reason and their
right.
mind,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
like if you say, "Oh, I love my husband, he's a good provider," that's not loving. That's not loving from your heart center. You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, I love my wife, she's a good mother," whatever.
Yeah.
That's
She
not
takes care of my kids. She's a
right,
good
right.
mother.
Well, you get the point. You get
Yeah.
the point.
Well,
So
yeah. That's kind of like, yeah, you're enslaving that person in a way because I don't know. It's so funny, isn't it?
yeah.
I mean, some people, maybe that's the problem too. Maybe people don't really know. Yeah, I think it starts with yourself. You have to love yourself enough.
So a new America says nobody is perfect, no one. And I tend to disagree because I feel like everybody is perfect. Everybody is perfect right where they are, and and every experience is perfect for them in that moment. So even if it might be something like, you went out and crashed your car or whatever, and you think like, "Oh my God, how could this be perfect?" There is a gift and a lesson in that experience that's perfect for you in that moment
Mhm.
if you just take the chance to slow down and recognize it.
Mhm.
And so I feel like even the people that maybe I don't necessarily always like are still perfect in every moment because they're showing me something and teaching me, they're giving me the opportunity to grow as a person and to learn something about myself
Mhm.
that maybe I didn't recognize before.
And my problem is if somebody I don't like, I let them know why I don't like them. Tell them, and I have no problem telling them to their face. This
Yeah.
is why I don't like you. It's like your
Mhm.
breath stinks. You cuss too much. You,
Just my breath
you
stinks.
spit on me when you talk to me, and then I let them know. Yeah, I don't like you for these reasons. No, your breath smells like lilacs. Did
Oh,
you eat flowers today?
I did. So, and then Mary Wynn says, yes, unconditional love. Yes, unconditional love it's a difficult thing to it's it's not an easy place for us to be in
No.
this reality because we're not programmed, we're not trained for that.
Well,
We're
yeah.
not shown that.
I think
So,
that like the society has been deceived a lot, and let's face it, the government does deceive a lot. And we're lucky we live in a country where we can even talk like this, and we can say that our government deceives us. And when all governments deceive their people, you know what I mean? Come on. But I mean, when people start to wake up to that, and like they are
mhm,
now, that's where this friction starts to create all this stuff because it's like
mhm.
people are kind of mad. They're going to be
Right.
mad.
Well, and I'm not at all political. Like, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican. I could care less about that stuff. I don't watch the news, I don't read the newspaper. I really don't know what's going on in the world unless my clients come in and tell me, "Oh, did you hear we had an earthquake?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
Mhm.
So,
Well, you know about the meteor tonight, right? Or the
oh,
meteor that's supposed to fly by the Earth today.
oh.
We'll talk about
Oh
it
yeah,
later.
I think they were talking about that on the Milky Way channel last night. So yeah, I do remember hearing that.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, the point I was trying to make was that I think, in the world that we live in, when everybody deserves to have a roof over
For
their head
sure. For
and
sure.
food in their belly.
Yeah. Why
And
wouldn't
so I
everybody
think
deserve that? Why
I
not? Why
I
wouldn't we?
I really feel like this event that's coming is going to bring issues like that to the forefront, because whatever these issues are, that the conflict that's going to come up, that's going to make us desire something better, is going to be something on a social level.
An impact. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
So we're going to change as a whole society. It's going
well,
to
I
change the
think,
whole.
yeah, globally,
It's going to change the whole
this is
globe.
going to be something globally,
Hmm.
not
Interesting.
just here. So, um,
Really good channeled message, I think.
yeah, I
I'm
thought it was.
interested. I want to know what the next channel message will be. Wondering when the contact next, when you'll have contact again.
I don't know. They call me.
You don't call them; they call you.
No, I do sometimes. I do sometimes check in with them, but if I try to check in with them, like I don't always get everything. I had seen Patrick Garrett's video about talking with the planets.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and try to contact Venus today. And if you guys want, I'll share with you the message that I got from Venus. It wasn't very long, and it was kind of, I don't know.
From Venus, I want to hear the
Yeah,
Venus
well,
message.
because when Patrick does it, he uses the pendulum and the chart, and I just kind of channel the energies. And so this is what came in for Venus. Is first because I feel things, and then I hear like a message coming in from this side of my head. So the first thing was an immense love that I was feeling, and then there was some kind of like heartbreak, loss, and sadness, which I thought was kind of sad. I was like, oh, I didn't expect that. And then she says, I embrace you in love and warmth, for I am the goddess of love and generating. Wait a second. For I am the goddess of love, the generating creative force of the universe. So that's not a word I don't use that word generating. I don't even know if I spelled it right. So then she says, please do not worship me as I am equal to you. Feel and accept the love I offer as we are one. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mhm.
And
What
then
is look what Brian says. He
what
says,
Brian said.
"Be careful of Saturn."
With Saturn, I
get
got a bad feeling about that. Just yeah, you know what?
Let me
That's funny
read
that
this
you
real quick.
say that because well, I'm not finished with
I
it.
want to read.
Well, I'm not done. You want me to start over again?
Well, because I got
I know.
lost.
Okay, he wants me to start over again because he wasn't paying attention. Okay, so I embrace you in love and warmth. All right, for I am the goddess of love, the generating creative force of the universe. Please do not worship me as I am equal to you. Okay, feel and accept the love I offer as we are one. Then she says that we are here now as a reminder and to influence the energy that surrounds you. So when she said we are here as a reminder, I felt like she meant all the planets. And I really felt like we we don't live like we it's like almost like they built this little 3D reality just for us to come down here and live out this experiment where we are trying to ascend. That's what I feel the experiment is. And the planets aren't like none of that stuff is real. None of it's real. We're all just like dreaming, and they are just energy forces that are here to help us with these experiences that we have and to remind us that we're in a 3D reality to keep us like anchored to this reality, so to speak.
Hmm.
And I stole that from Patrick Garrett because him and I talked about that, and he used the word anchored, and I was like, "Oh, good, that's the perfect word to describe the vibe I was getting from that."
That we're anchored here.
That yeah, well, they put these energies there to anchor us into this experience. This is just an experience for us to have. We're like living in a dream, having this experience, and
but the experience is to what to become better or to become or
yes,
what's the end result?
So the end result, yes, is to come from the higher place, the higher frequencies, the higher place of love and peace and joy and compassion and those kind of things.
No, if we can avoid blowing off all of us up, maybe we can achieve a little better.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
I can see you still got wakening to do.
Yeah, I do. I got some awakening to do. I'm pretty awake, but I still got some waking to do.
Let's see. We built this, believe it. Yeah, no, I mean, we are creating everything.
Definitely.
We're creating everything with our minds. That's the thing, is that we don't realize that we are creators. We are creating everything. Our whole experience is just a reflection of what's going on in your mind.
Here's the true question: is just imagine what we could create if we were all working together to create it.
Exactly. That's the whole point. I think that's the whole point of this. Through all my little like journeys and different things that I've done, like the original message that I got from Source when I was on the mushroom trip last year was that I was like, what is the meaning of life? And the meaning of life, the purpose of life, is to experience. What was it? To experience poop. I know this.
Yeah.
That we're living, that the separateness is an illusion, and the whole point is to come back to the consciousness of unity. And so all of this that goes on around us helps to remind us that we're separate. But once we can see past that and realize that we're not separate, that we're all one,
Yeah.
that's when the experiment will end. That's what we're working towards.
Right. So let's all
What
get
do
it
you, I mean,
together.
what do you,
Let's all get it together, everybody. Let's
yeah,
all work together. Try to be a little better to each other, and let's see where we can go with it, and let's see if this experiment ends somewhere good.
right,
You
right.
know?
So Mary Wynn says, you both are awesome. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary.
You're
Oh, you're
awesome
sweet.
too.
Mary, thank you.
Okay, so wait, no, I wasn't done with the Venus.
Okay.
So Venus says then take time to enjoy the beauty around you. This is where it got a little weird because she says, I am the mother's bosom. Yeah, bosom. And then she says, I am the womb of creation. So I was like, oh, okay. And then it just kind of started getting weird, and I was kind of not feeling like a strong connection. And I was like, all right, I'm done with this because I had already channeled that big message, and I thought I was in like the channeling flow state. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to reach out to Venus while I'm in this flow
While
state.
I got y'all dialed
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
while
well,
I got you on the line.
while I'm plugged in, I'm going to channel Venus. And then it started off good, and then it just got kind of weird. But
Yeah, I think you can only take so much, and then you get your mind.
well, I just think
you'll
that
get
that's that I really believe that these planets are a hard energy to channel because they're not, like, for me, it's really easy for me to tune into other people's energy. That's how I do my readings.
Well, they are definitely spinning out there, and they're definitely creating a frequency that you can definitely
Well, they're
tap into.
creating a frequency and an energy, but I don't think that any of this stuff is real. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my reality says none of this is real, and I'm dreaming. Somebody please wake me up.
Well, if it's all a dream, I'm pissed that we spent $2 billion to send a probe to Mars.
I know, right? But money isn't real anyways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all energy.
Yeah.
So Mary says, have an attitude of gratitude, then you won't be pissed off all the time to
That's
people.
That's a good thing. Yeah, true, Mary.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's like,
have a little bit of gratitude. Recognize what you have instead of seeing everything you don't have.
you know what? When I got divorced, it was a really tough divorce. And at the time, that's when I kind of found religion, when I was going through this really rough divorce. And I had a lot of, I wouldn't say bitterness because I don't have a bitter heart, but I had a lot of negative vibes towards my ex-husband. And I used to sit there and this is how I healed it. I would sit there and I would pray, God bless that son of a bitch.
I remember when you would do that.
And little by little it got a little bit better. Like, eventually it was like, yeah, just God, just bless him, God, whatever. And then the next thing it was gone. Like, I didn't have, like, the pain was gone, everything was healed. We have a semi good relationship now.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not pissing him off, I guess. But so we're kind of at a good place. But
yeah, you guys communicate well, I think. I mean, yeah.
Well, yeah,
it's healthy. It's a healthy. And why shouldn't you? Why you should have a healthy communication with your. I mean,
I don't want
just because you guys realized that you couldn't live together or be together doesn't mean you have to, not be mean or negative to each other. That's being childish,
Right. But
that's being like little kids on the kindergarten playground.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
but you weren't here. You didn't see it go down.
That's true.
You don't know how it went down.
No,
and
that's
true.
True.
It was a very, because we were both. Anyways, you guys don't need to know all that business. But let me just say, so when people piss me off, it might not happen in the moment. Like, I might not like you actually do kind of tend to get on my nerves sometimes.
I get on everybody's nerves.
Right. And maybe not, and maybe sometimes I come from a place where I'm reacting, where I'm like, Pat, shut the fuck up. And then later I'm like, well, you gotta love Pat because he's just so funny. But I mean, my point was that usually always a little bit later, I will realize that, I'm grateful for you showing me. First of all, I'm still in a place of reaction. That's something I need to work on. Because when I can get totally like zenned out, then I won't be at that place where I'm reacting anymore.
Right.
I'm,
No, let's face it, I need to be there too. I'd like to do
I'm
that.
golden, you know.
Meditating, there's a lot to be said about meditating and being able to focus and meditate, taking that time. And I'm not talking meditating and letting yourself fall asleep. I'm talking where you're consciously trying to quiet your mind, and you're trying to focus, or not focus, I guess I should say, on so many issues, and
Yeah.
just try to like level the playing field and just try to calm your mind.
Well, it's all about being present and aware. That for me, that's what meditation is. Because I do
Right.
a lot of times when I sit down to meditate, I do fall asleep.
Right. That's
Yeah.
that's not meditating. That's letting your that's
That's
falling
falling asleep.
That's falling asleep. That's not meditating.
So for me, I mean, when I do yoga, that's my meditation
That's a good one.
because I'm focused on the breath
And
I'm,
that's the body, the
and I'm
mind.
present in the moment
Mhm.
because you can't think about anything else when you're trying to stand on one leg and do some crazy pose. So, you know, all you can do is just breathe. So, anyways, we've just about gone an hour.
Mhm.
Do you have any more thoughts? What did you think about the message?
I love the message. I thought it was a good, positive message. It just reaffirmed a few things that I already assumed in my head. Um, I'm interested. I'll be interested on your next message, what they have to say, or if there's any add-on to that. Or
Yeah.
I hope everybody in the chat room. I hope everybody out there liked the message.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a couple shows I want to do with you in the future. I want to do like a. There's this one show I want to do with the memory ball.
Oh yeah, well, we're still trying to work our schedules to do the brain balance.
I want to do
And
that one.
I want to do a pranayama um, video where I
Okay.
teach you how to do breathing. I think breathing is really important, and I know I was in another
I
chat
would love
room,
to see that.
and I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about their stress level, and we were talking about, I was saying, oh, pranayama. So we're gonna do a pranayama video.
And we're gonna have a graduates pretty soon in the family. Tell everybody about your Reiki graduate.
Oh yeah. So you know what? I think a lot of this stuff has been coming together for me. I've started studying Reiki, and
she's taking classes.
I'm taking my certification for Reiki Master, and so it's really pulled a lot of things together for me. And the thing that I didn't know about Reiki is that it originated in Sanskrit text, like
Wow.
which Sanskrit is, yoga. When they teach yoga Sanskrit. And so I was like, oh, because my understanding of Reiki was that it was from Japan, which it is from Japan, but it was originally found in the Sanskrit text, which I would assume would be like the Vimanas, or the Vedas
Yeah.
text, Vedic text.
Uh-huh.
Anyways, I'm no expert.
We'll research that.
But about the channeled messages, I did want to say I've received channeled messages pretty much for about almost a year now, and a lot of them I don't share because sometimes I think, like, am I crazy? Have I lost my mind? What's going on here? And I write them, but I do write them down, and then when I see things start to happen, it's kind of too late to be like, hey, everybody, I channeled that 6 months ago. Hello. So with this message, though, I felt like it was really like they really impressed upon me because I asked, I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? Why are you telling me this? What do you want me to do? I knew it wasn't a personal message, and they told me to share it. And I wasn't sure how I was going to share it because, making these YouTube videos is like a new thing for me. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the message.
It's getting darker. The sun's going down.
Yeah. I hope it resonated for you guys. I mean, it is what it is. And
we hope you liked our tree. Here's our tree, guys. Merry Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, honey. Okay, you guys. Well, thank you all for showing up, and we love you.
Bye, Mary. Bye, Pink Angel. Bye, Brian.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.